Welcome, dear all viewers to Stammer Stream. I'm your non-stammering host, Greil9, here with my other non-stammering hosts, Kastor UK, Dr. Nova, and Hovin with an H. And you may be wondering why Wensleydale isn't here to deliver this opening. That's because he's dying. Or at least he sounds like he's dying, because you heard him, right?
Oh, yes.
Yes. He is, well, in a way, aren't we all dying slowly, day by day, towards the grave? Yeah. But Cheddar's lost his voice, yeah.
Yeah, and just to be clear, he's not dying, but he sure sounds like he could
Just to make that perfectly clear.
Yeah, on the internet, you cannot always tell.
He still has the ability to type?
Yeah. So, anyway, before we get started, we must discuss very topical issue. Danganronpa 53. That V is a 5, right?
I just read it as V3.
Okay, might be V3.
Yeah, like
version
3.
Oh, I still haven't played it.
because technically, if it was 53, it would be an L.
Nerd.
Shit. Sorry.
I actually managed to already clear the game. I may or may not have spent too much time of being unemployed doing that yesterday.
Aw.
Hey, rainy day. I don't really have anywhere to go, so do what you must.
Fair enough.
Plus, when that game series gets going, it just hits the ground running and doesn't let you go.
Oh, yeah.
I hear that is kind of the point.
Yeah.
Someone is typing very loudly somewhere.
Sorry, I need this on set.
It's all good. I was just checking.
So, how are
you?
Oh,
yeah, the third game was interesting to me. Not to spoil anything, so obviously I'd never want to do that, but the game itself, I mean, the Danganronpa series has always been slightly self-aware, but this version is extremely self-aware. And to be perfectly honest, it's something I really enjoyed, particularly when you get to later parts of the game.
How far into it are you, by the way?
I'm done. I know I know the big twist at the end. I know all the trials and all the executions. I will say that there are certain, in terms of an overall cast, this is about tied with the first game in the sense that it's not amazing like the second game was, but it's certainly not bad. There are just a few characters here and there that are very weak. And some other ones where, you kind of feel like this is game in the sense that this is territory they've already gone through. Like the second.
Really? Because in my opinion, this cast was like the strongest of them all. And I feel like in every murder, at least one person, either the one who gets executed or the one who died, was someone I cared about. Whereas in all the other games, there was at least one case where I could say, oh no, those people died, I did care, sure.
See, that's how I was for the second game, in the sense that I really started to care about the cast as a whole going through. In this one, there were certain people every now and then where I was like, I mean, I guess that's a little bit of a drag. I didn't really care. Here's how I'd put it. Whenever I play a Danganronpa game, I usually have tiers of characters. Like the top tier, an example is the second game. I'll have the top tier characters of Gundam, Kazuichi, Sonya. There are others,
Kazuichi,
but just
top tier?
Yeah, of people I really like.
Yeah, he was good, but not that good for me.
I guess what I'd say is that I felt like this was the game with the least top tier characters to me. I had a couple characters that I was very invested in, and then other ones was I could take it or leave it a little bit. And then there were a couple that I just found boring from the get-go. Like, I was never really that into Tenko as a character. I thought Ryoma was fine. Wasn't huge on him. The one that I had like a mixed relationship throughout the entire game, and I'm gonna horribly mispronounce his name, is the anthropologist character.
Oh, you mean Korekiyo Shinguji?
See, it's tricky. Yeah, him. I had such a weird relationship with that character.
Yeah. While I had few misses and one character when they died, I was cheering. I won't spoil
Really?
But I mean, saying like characters die in Danganronpa isn't a spoiler, but
no. Message me later. I'm curious as to which one you were really happy about, because there was at least one. There were two characters in this game who, when they died, I'm like, oh no, oh God, no, please.
Yeah, there were those who I was like, no, please, don't let them die. But there was one who I just said, oh God, I'm glad you're finally dead.
There was definitely one like that for me, where I was like, thank God. But I think
this podcast was about manga or something.
It was about manga. I'll just say one last thing about the third game very briefly. What I think I enjoy most about the third Danganronpa game is the fact that it does have a very good style to it. Something that, like, it has a very unique way of storytelling, very tied into sort of music and jazz that wasn't really in the last two games. But what I'll say that and I know this is for a pretty big point of the fan base, if the Danganronpa 3 anime kind of left a bad taste in your mouth from this series, I think this is something that's gonna wash it out, and it's gonna, give you something really good for. Anyway, manga.
All right, let's get started finally. So, first off, One Piece 880, No Way Out.
Oh, sorry. Are we starting?
Oh, now you know how I feel whenever you guys talk. We never learn.
So we never learn, right? So this week.
Oh, go on. Just talk about Persona 5 for 18 minutes so I can go in the background and do nothing.
Right, should we talk about One Piece? Because this was a good chapter.
Yeah.
I liked this one.
Yeah.
I also quite liked the joke on the with the covers page story we've currently been doing with Sai having to go. Yeah, the one with Sai having to go back and turn down his old fiancée, and it's just like, oh, okay, this is quite funny. He got beaten up for breaking off an engagement. Oh, she has a harem of husbands. It's like, I feel less bad for you now.
But I gotta say, she's a real go-getter if she's got that many husbands.
It's kind of cool. I like it.
Then again, they do have bandages, which implies, like...
abusive relationship, yeah.
Not, domestic violence, yeah. That's
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So, maybe we should... Okay, that's kind of small potatoes considering what some people in One Piece do. Seashore Cloud!
Let's move on. Let's move on.
Go.
Yeah. So, what do people want to talk about this week? Because there's a lot of individual stuff.
Yeah, I think I'll start with one thing that hadn't been really brought up for a long time that I like. And that's just how much of a great chef Sanji is. That's shown in a few parts. Like, them saying, like, how did you immediately know how that cake was made? But even though you could just look at it, Sanji just says, by its smell.
It was getting to Toriko levels a bit, but it worked.
Yeah, but I think, it works here. It's absurd, but it's still reasonable within shonen. And just shows how much of a badass he is in that regard.
I also liked how much of sort of like a puppeteer pudding is shown to be in this. In that she instantly walks in and is like, but aren't people going to know that Sanji is a fugitive? How are we going to work with him? Just like, no, in 5 seconds and 1 page, I've made it so that the only people who will see you, I can take their memories of the day out and replace it with new ones, so we have our own workforce. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, though, while I agree that Pudding is a little bit becoming what many people didn't want her to be, just falling over Sanji after that one part.
I have thoughts on that, but I can save it for later because it's.
I quite like that they have a chain reaction of like over the top goo goo eyes for each other. Although I think it's a kind of gag where I like it here, but I think if Pudding stuck around, it would get tiresome. But for now, I think it's quite funny.
It's funny seeing female Sanji. Like the joke, like they keep on swapping who's falling over each other, and it is quite funny.
Yeah, I do have to admit that the part where Pudding takes on the apron, Sanji just goes to his hard eyes, and Pudding's immediately knocked out on
She's got like an ice pack on her head.
That's the thing here, is that if, like, I never want her to join the Straw Hats, so I really hope that this isn't like a joke I'll have to deal with throughout the entire manga. But in short bursts, just for this part, I think it's fine. I think it's entertaining enough. And, you know, it's that kind of goofy storytelling that One Piece is known for. So
it puts a new spin on the Sanji goes nuts for someone thing without making his blood loss from nosebleeds a central plot point of the arc. So I'm good with it.
It's also nice to see the gender swap, because before it's just like, oh, Sanji's a pervert, look at that. I'm just like, well, yeah, but look at Pudding do it as well.
Yeah. One complaint I have heard lobbied at this chapter is that we don't really get the that they wanted people wanted another Lucci fight from this Luffy versus Cracker thing, and he's already basically on the floor.
I think we are going to get that, though.
I'm hoping not this arc, because if that happens, Luffy would have taken down two of the big sweet generals that were built up to be things that essentially a fight between a supernova and one of these guys nearly killed both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't think Luffy's going to win. I think we are going to get a continued fight out of it. Because I think, like, because even in Cracker's case, he didn't beat Cracker on his own. He never would have beaten Cracker if Nami wasn't there.
Which is why I loved that fight. That fight worked really well, because it was honestly the first combo fight Luffy's ever had. But I'm wondering, I really actually hope that either Karakuri wins, and Luffy essentially has to escape and realize there are people out in this world he can't beat. As a great intro to the Kaido arc. Or this is short or gets interrupted quickly, because I don't want him to beat this guy, because it's built up. It would cheapen quite a lot of this arc.
As much as I agree with you on that front, I also have to consider that if Luffy can't beat one of the commanders of an emperor, who are still only a fraction of an emperor's power, I'm not sure he could ever match up to an emperor, which I have to believe this is leading up to at some point.
I think this is going to be a pushing force, like something to make him, like, maybe not necessarily a training arc, but something that make him think, okay, I have to develop Gear 5 from this, or something that gives him an idea. Because we know that Luffy, when he does lose, it gives him the information of how to get better. That's how Gears 2 and 3 were created, because he lost to Aokiji. That's how Gear 4 was created, because he kept losing to all of the animals on the island before he eventually developed it. So I think that knowing Luffy, this will probably be a good, point of moving forward. Or it could even happen within the fight. Like, I could see him battling somebody with abilities so similar, eventually resulting in him, figuring out a way to then power up his own abilities. But back to the actual chapter itself, something I really, really liked, and it's a subtle thing, but it's something that, given the fact that this is a crew of family members, I thought we'd see more of. And it's been subtle, but it's here again, is that Karakuri really seems protective of his siblings, which is a subtle thing that we've sort of seen throughout the entire arc, which is that, the villain is an entire family group. So I'm glad that we're seeing this dynamic highlighted a lot more.
Yeah, it's not always good to remember, since part of the villain group is not family. People like Baron Tamago or... Actually, Baron Tamago is the only one I can think of right now.
Yeah. Oh, well, Beige and...
Oh, yeah, Beige.
What's his Lion guy.
And the chef guy.
And Strusen, yeah. There's a couple of, like, cronies dotted about, but the majority of Big Mum's leaders are her children. And when Big Mum doesn't care about them, it sort of breaks it slightly. So it is nice to see Karakuri here being just like, no, these are my family, I care about them.
I think the only time she doesn't care about them is when she doesn't care about anything because she's in a sugar rage. So
she's shown a couple of times she doesn't think of them as children, and she doesn't particularly care if they live or die or not. It's one of the ways that Oda's been able to show her as a sort of a monster in this arc rather well. A mother that literally doesn't care about her kids and only about herself.
So, one more note. How do you think the Straw Hats will get out of the ending bind? You know, the whole...
That was fucking great.
Yeah. Oh god, the tidal wave.
With the face!
Just the sheer degree to how they're just, they're just not getting a break. and I love it.
It's great because Nami's given up. With her, and if they pull a swerve, I'm going to be annoyed because Oda's a better writer than that. I'm thinking Jinbei will step in because water. That's his thing.
I agree.
Also, I've just checked, and his last reaction is him looking over his shoulder with ... and he's not seen for the entire panic bit.
Ah, okay. I think one thing's for sure, because at the beginning of this year, they announced they announced a big thing of during the. Have you guys heard of the event Jump Festa?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah. It's like a big shonen jump event in Japan. They announced that they were going to be going into the Reverie and Wano arcs. I don't think that's happening anymore. I think they're going to. This arc is probably going to run for the rest of the year, just with the amount of stuff that has been set up and the fact that we have to take breaks into account, which isn't really a bad thing. I want it to be, fleshed out to the degree it needs to be. It's just something I commented before was worth commenting on.
Yeah, I mean, this is the part they're already escaping, but if Oda really hurries, he might make it to Reverie at the very end of the year.
I would possibly argue that this arc has been already being stretched a bit. This Escape Big Mom is going on quite a lot longer than I was expecting, and I'm starting to get arc fatigue, and I think Oda is as well. Did you guys notice the art in this chapter?
I don't think the art was that bad.
There's a couple of really sketchy stuff. On the penultimate page, Dogtooth kicking Luffy's sketched. But previously, there's a panel of just there's like a scribble of Dogtooth with nothing else there.
I think it's mostly on the Dogtooth versus Luffy part.
Yeah.
I mean, the art at the start of the chapter, when they're starting the cooking process, that was really well done.
Yeah. But it's not bad, but it's getting a couple of these panels remind me of Hunter x Hunter occasionally, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but at least he put it to where it matters, because I think this chapter most of all exists to show that Sanji is still the crew's cook, which he hasn't been able to do for a while.
Yeah, this arc has been really good at showing, like, either by their presence or their absence, the reason the Straw Hats are in their roles, like Nami as the navigator.
No, I'm looking at this. Nothing here is quite Hunter x Hunter tier, but yeah. It's a little sketchier in place. Oh, okay. I think I've seen the one. Is it the really sketchy Kakuri one? Is that the one where he's talking to
Witch Lady?
Brule. Oh,
and there's no background, and you can literally show that you drew her first and sketch him later.
That one panel does stick out a bit. You're right.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So,
anyway,
if no one has anything else, shall we move on?
Yep.
Next up, Food War, Shokugeki no Soma, Chapter 233.
The Eizan faces are back! Yeah.
When I saw that, I spent like a full minute just staring at it and laughing.
I'm so happy. I hope Aldini gets curb stomped in this match.
You're finding out what he's making IG2. That's the most boring shit I've ever heard.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on in Food Wars at the moment. The entire thing with the talk between Azami and old headmaster guy about saying, but you chose these students specially. They've been special all along.
It's very boring. Like implied destiny, that whole thing. Hollywood loves it, and I don't.
No, it also annoys me about quite a lot of the start of this series, which is the bit I liked. About how just like, no, this world doesn't care about you unless you can swim onto the surface, you will drown in this school. It's like, no, I knew which one of you were surviving. The rest of you can fuck off.
That's the thing. Like, I don't know if you ended up reading like the stuff that I wrote last week about like each of the chapters, but it was very amusing to me. Okay, you did.
I love you just got Cheddar.
It was funny to me when I think back to like the fall classic of this whole thing, and remembering the dude who's like got 6 points out of 100, and I was like, yeah, that dude was handpicked to be a goober in comparison to Kurokiba and Hayama.
Also, can we not forget American Flag Bikini Girl, who's done fuck all, the Polaris Bros. All these people were handpicked to fight her brother.
The Polaris Bros are second years, and to be fair, I can kind of see why Nikumi would be thrown in there, because
she has huge tits.
Look, yeah, but also that like she did beat a second year student in like a one panel Shokugeki. I think it's just that like I guess I just don't really understand it in concept. They're like, I've handpicked the best chefs for this generation. I'm like, yeah, you're a cooking school. That's what you do. Like, isn't there already a vetting process? It just doesn't seem like that crazy a revelation.
Also, can we go back to the point that in the second chapter, Erina was about to kick out Soma, and the only reason that Soma was allowed back in the school was that headmaster guy happened to be walking past. It's like, this is really good. Who did this? Oh, he's meant to be here. Why the hell did I nearly let this guy get kicked out of my school?
I was just saying, why did you let Erina put in anybody? She hates everyone.
She was known to kick out everybody. So, yeah.
I was going to bring that up too, but guess you beat me to the punch.
Sorry.
In any case, as we've been talking about this, the new episode of the first episode of Food Wars Season 3 just dropped, so I can complain to everyone else about the Azami arc as well. Yay!
Oh, good.
Oh, and it started so well, and then fucked itself over.
If we're still talking about, like, just for the chapter as a whole, I don't really get, and look, this is a minor criticism. I fully understand that, and I'll go through that later. But am I the only one who thinks Aldini's dish is like the simplest, most boring? Like, because look, this is just a recipe for like teriyaki beef. I'm sorry, sugar, soy sauce, ginger. Like, this isn't hard stuff. Like, it's like, oh, he cut the ginger so thin into tiny needles. Like, yeah, it's an impressive knife work, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's not like that imparts too much extra flavor. It's just like tiny now.
That bit didn't bother me. That bit was like the Food Wars stuff of, this is a cool cooking technique that lets me win. It's like, okay, cool. The bit I loved was just like, how do we do Japanese Italian cuisine? Let's put Japanese stuff on a pizza.
Yeah, this was one of those times again when I just tune out because I just do not get the cookie stuff and think I would not care if I just tried.
I don't get what's Italian about it. I don't get what's Italian. Is he literally putting it on a pizza? Did I miss that?
That was what is at least heavily implied is going to be his dish.
Yeah, I mean,
that is the lamest thing.
It's like, you guys were ragging on him a few weeks ago, and I was like, all right, come on, give him a chance. You know, any character can become interesting. and yeah, he really hasn't.
I don't mind Aldini. That's the thing. Like, I've always kind of enjoyed him. I think it's just that his dynamic with Soma is just something that's a dynamic that a lot of characters have. Just like Soma says something and someone else yells at him like, no, Soma, that's not it. Like, that was a fun dynamic when he was literally the only person doing it. But now that we have Erina and like all the other characters doing it, doesn't work well. I still like Aldini fine. Like, I don't think he's a bad character. And I actually liked him quite a bit at first.
His introduction was very good.
His introduction was excellent.
He wasn't revisited and he wasn't built upon. His introduction, and they just left him there and he stagnated.
I think it's just this dish. That just made me laugh so much. And I know Cheddar's in the chat, like I have to defend him out. I'm not crapping all over Aldini. Like, I like him fine. I just think this is the like, you have beef, and your thing is like, I know what I'll do. I'll slice it really thin and put it on a pizza.
That's my masterpiece. It's Italian. How do I show the masterpiece of Italian cuisine? Let's cook Japanese stuff and stick it on a pizza.
I mean, it's slightly better to be like, I took the beef and then cooked it in sugar and soy sauce and ginger, and then I stuffed it in the tortellini. It's like, that sounds awful. This all sounds horrible.
I want to see what Eizan's going to do about this, because it's implied at the very end of this that he's doing a reaction to what Aldini's making to show him up. Like, part of me is like, wasn't that Subaru's entire gimmick? This is weird, but part of me really wants to see the beef pizza made good, just to fuck over Aldini that even he couldn't make the best beef pizza.
That's the thing, like, I think if you're gonna make beef pizza, like, why do you cook it first?
You're not gonna eat raw beef pizza.
No, but like,
cook it on the idea.
Cook it on the pizza at least. Why are you cooking it twice? Like, I'm gonna cook it in the pan, then cook it in the oven. Just, it's not overcooked enough, I'll make it overcooked.
Greil, we've interrupted you twice now. What would you like to say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that from the way they portrayed, I think Eizan is actually gonna make some kind of dish that would fuck over Aldini's dish. Like, make something that leaves a lingering taste that ruins what he's doing.
Oh, that'd be great! That'd be the best dick move ever!
I really hope he's just gonna go to the pantry and bring out like a handful of those tiny little ginger sticks. Like, yeah, I just bought these.
I bought these. Or he just comes out with a handful of salt and just throws it on the pizza. Yeah.
I'm sure there's a Cabal joke that can be made out of that.
And the judges taste it like, oh my god, salt is exactly what this was missing. Aldini, you win. And Eizan's like, wait.
All their clothes
Eizan's like, wait, you forgot to season your food? It's like, yes.
Hey, I cooked my beef twice in this pizza and put ginger in it. I think I know what I'm doing here.
But yeah, still, that face made this chapter. I don't even know what emotion that face is supposed to convey.
I think insanity, or like the face. This is a face you'd see in either a horror manga, or if he's either writing in or dying from a death note.
Or possibly he wants to make an evil face, but he tends to take a shit real bad and doesn't want anyone to know.
He does look like he's tried something and has fucked it up.
If we're done our myriad ideas as to what his face might be conveying, shall we move on to whatever's next?
I've got my secret ingredient, just shits himself.
God damn it. God damn it.
What's next?
I think it's My Hero Academia 154.
Good.
Awesome.
Also, it states that TV anime has been confirmed to our third season.
Cool.
Yeah, it was
amazing.
It was awesome. Yeah. It was like literally like as the season was ending, they confirmed it. Which, yeah, that's assuring.
No wonder with the popularity it has, but I just want to see animated All Might versus All for One.
Yes,
I want that fight.
They need to knock that out of the park. And you know what? With what they did with the Todoroki and Stain fights, I think they can. So, yeah.
Yeah, and
with
even
the filler,
before that, just the Nobu fight that All Might was in.
And also, the way they've done filler in this last arc has been amazing. I would argue that the anime at this point for the second season section is
that stretch of the
better than
show.
the manga.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, we also got to see a little more on the the exams, the practical exams.
That was really cool, yeah, because they revisited them afterwards in like the manga. But this way, we're getting some real weight behind the Deku Bakugo versus All Might fight, and I want. For me, that's next week.
I haven't watched it, so I have read the chapter though. So
anyway, let's move on to this chapter now that we're talking about how good the anime was.
Yeah. So I hope they follow through on this thing with Lemillion just permanently having his quirks gone.
Yes, that would be a really interesting thing, and I think they might at this point. I'm wondering if Deku would be like, I should pass an All for One to him. It'd be like, because I hope they don't do that, but for Deku it might be like in character.
Yeah, and then he says no.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure he will offer it, but Mirio won't accept it.
But no, Nighttime this was cool. Essentially, what do you reckon? Do we want to get to this now? But what do you reckon Night Eye saw?
I think he saw a really bad future. Like, they don't get away. Deku's just killed when he charges in.
I think that's what's meant to be seen. So I'm trying to figure out. I think that's what you're meant to think. My current theory is that I'm waiting for 20% All for One to be the first transformation step, and I want him to have seen Deku becoming an All Might-esque figure. And
or
that'd
maybe
be what
something like Deku's gonna tear his body apart with that, even if he does win.
Yeah, because 20%
is awesome.
Literally 1/5 of All Might at his peak. I want to see this.
This is amazing.
Yeah, and this is also, you remember in the Mountain arc when he used 100%, broke his arm, and with the broken arm he went beyond that?
He used 100?
That wasn't good.
I thought it was 10.
I think he used a million at some point.
The number
in
thing
that
gets
arc, he
stupid.
used 100, and then after breaking his arm, he used million, which I have read the Tankobon, so he clarifies it wasn't like 100 million. Literally, it was just like he just pushed his body to the extreme with the adrenaline and fear of death. But this time, it's believable, but it also is in perspective, because usually he uses like 8% full cowling. This is over double that, so it's probably going to cost damage, but it would allow him some time to go at pretty strong rate.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not like at the training camp arc, the fight that a lot of people had a problem with, which I didn't mind as much.
Yeah.
Like, how much did he go then?
Different translations give different percents.
Right.
100 for one punch, and then for another, like, 1 million, which was metaphorical.
Yeah, I thought was awesome.
He didn't go 100% All for One in that. That's the one with translation steps.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think for me that's a fight where the artwork on its own carries it. Like, there's a lot of problems with, it's not very interestingly set up, or and there are like a lot of overly convenient aspects to how it's set up. But I love the way it's drawn.
Yeah, it was the unfortunately the one falling point of that arc. But this is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this chapter, I mean, I thought this transformation probably wouldn't be all that special and look a little goofy, but I think this chapter really sells it. Horikoshi's, I would say, graffiti-like art style really makes that thing look grotesque and something that you just feel nasty looking at.
Plus, it's terrifying.
Yeah. Plus, we see that it really does make it more powerful to have 4 arms. He can just have one arm on the ground, and then just one shoots up what the other one destroys.
And the panel Deku stomping down on the ground and just stopping that attack. My Hero Academia does something that I think almost no other manga in Jump does so effectively, is it makes me so incredibly excited when the main character gets to fight. And like I think about all the different types of series that we read. And I think through, Black Clover, where Asta's always fighting, so it's not really an event when it happens. I think about Shokugeki no Soma, where Soma does it a lot, and it's not really as much of a spectacle. One Piece is always
we wish other people did.
Because, One Piece is always fun when it happens. And then, Bleach and Naruto were monsters in and of themselves. But what My Hero Academia does so well is not only has it shown the progression that Deku's gone through, but we don't see him fight that often when you think about it, at least not in like one-on-one scenarios. So seeing this battle here against what in my mind has been an awesome villain, I've loved Overhaul, and seeing them going at it here, it's so exciting.
Yeah, I'll say Overhaul started off weaker than the most, but bar was set pretty high with villains like Stain or All for One. But towards the end, he's really made a name for himself.
Yes.
With the kind of brutality he has, and I still just remember that where he just went like, yeah, I do not care about Eri, only about what she can do to me. And yeah, I've destroyed and rebuilt her before. He knows it fucking hurts.
Oh. Yeah, I do agree, but there is still a part of me that just thinks of him as like that one time that Jonah said Chiaki instead of Chisaki for him, and I'm just like imagining her but in his body. It's quite funny. God, I'm going to kill you. Maybe. Probably.
Well, he doesn't insult people while stone-faced very, very often, so you know what? Maybe they're not all that different.
Like, yeah.
She does look a bit stoned.
I'd still say...
Stone-faced, not stoned, but...
Well, she kind of does.
I'd still say that Overhaul's possibly, unfortunately, the worst villain so far in My Hero. That we're considering the other ones are essentially Stain, Hand-on-Face Guy, and...
All for One?
And All for One himself. That it's just like, he's bottom of the list, but that list is pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when you got 4 villains only so far, well, 4 major villains, and 3 of them just hit it out of the park, it's hard to just, like, get to the same bar.
I like Chisaki more than I like Shigaraki at the start of the series.
But I think that's the point. Shigaraki's not a good villain.
Yeah.
Well, not yet. He's the villain
that's the terrifying
parallel to Deku. And back to what Jonah said earlier, I also like that Deku seems to always take some new step in each of his big fights. And just because he started so low, each of them still feels like it's something that to be cheered. Unlike some like Asta, who's I'm already really powerful, but here's a new power.
And also the fact that they started at 5 and their next increment was 8. That was clever because it means these low numbers. The fact we've gone to 20% feels to me like Luffy pulling out Gear Second or something.
Yeah, and even now they put it like Gear Second while it's still breaking him apart. Like later he could probably use that with no damage to himself.
Yeah. I just
really want to also see how the Night Eye plot works out, because he does explain like how the future has always been what he predicted, and now seems like that future is utter despair in his eyes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that because honestly, the rest of this arc I thought has been a bit weak. So I want to see how it ends so I can look back and review the entire thing. The girls are still fighting outside, and I'm pretty sure we're not going to that fight.
So, anyone else still have something to say about this chapter?
I'm good.
No, yeah, I've said everything.
All right. Well, you know what's up next. It's Black Clover, chapter 127. It's gonna be... no, this is wrong. This chapter is broken. Someone
I
fix
know!
it. It's broken.
I think I've got the wrong page here. I mean, it's in Viz Jump, but I think this is definitely a scan site that's tricking me. Because this chapter was okay. I would hesitate to even say good.
The anime just came out today. Maybe they wanted to impress new people jumping on board.
Or maybe the author was just busy with the anime stuff and said, "Hey, you assistants, you do this."
His assistant can write a better manga than him. I'd love that.
I'll say, like, this chapter has many things that should have me ranting, like I promised in last week's episode. But it just makes it work.
Yeah. This is how every chapter of Black Clover could be written.
Just say Black Clover.
I was not intentionally, did I? Black Clover could be written, and like without changing any of the characters, which are the things people seem to love. And it's just like, well, why don't you do this? This is interesting. This is compelling. This is not Black Clover.
Oh god, I'm going to be the odd one out again.
Go on. We'll all agree and tear you down.
We should probably go a little further in the chapter before we start saying why it's bad and why it's good. Arguing that. So I'll say that what I liked is, Finral does lose, but that loss was fucking brutal.
I
didn't come out on anything.
There are chunks you can see through his body.
Yeah. And then also, like, we get to see Langris's mindset. Like, it seems like he's actually been under a ton of pressure to always be better than Finral at everything.
I didn't get that, but okay.
Plus, we get that confirmation that they had different mothers. It's stated outright here. And then there's the part that when Langris is about to actually just kill Finral, all the Black Bulls are immediately on him. Just putting like, don't. I don't really like that Noel's just rushing to Finral's side and not defending like others, but when chunks are missing, I think it's acceptable that someone go check on him.
She is we do see Charmy
just taking out her ram magic.
How?
Mm-hmm.
What?
How is she the healer?
Doesn't she have water healing powers?
No.
Oh, she's just a female character.
Okay, sorry, Black Clover. I gave you too much credit. That's bullshit.
This is an avatar.
Honestly, I have not been paying enough attention to the show not to realize that water magic doesn't have healing powers.
Well, at least Noel's water magic doesn't. There might be water healing magic, but...
Okay, the fact that technically, like, if you fight, you're kicked out of the games is a reason to, like, a logical person go and, like, draw all their weapons on Langris, I admit. But that is a bit annoying. I think my favourite thing is Charmy just, like, looking big and strong and then being shown to be about a mile away.
Well, they showed her a mile away first.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not really a joke. It's trying to be like, Charmy's so badass. I'm like, yeah, but she didn't move. Like, I just...
Oh yeah, you read right to left, don't you? That's annoying. The rest of it's one big panel. I missed that.
Yeah, and
I wasn't paying attention to this chapter.
Clear that Langris has probably just gotten his team disqualified.
Well, they say
someone with the intent to kill after fight's over.
That's the impression, but the Wizard King kind of goes back on that at the end. It's like, nope, the next fight starts.
Immediately, yes.
Well, just like this fight in front of them has started. And even this should be like, oh yeah, Asta's here to save the day again. Whoop the fucking shit.
But this time they give a reason and motivation, and it works.
Plus, Asta isn't just going like, no, because I'm gonna beat you instead. It's, okay, I fucking hate you for that. I'm going to spank you so fucking hard.
It is a section
your own ass in your nightstand drawer.
It is a section of just like, you nearly killed my friend. I now have in-character reasons to be Asta. Also, I like that Like, there was about to be a fight with those three. There's the scene where the three of them are drawing their weapons on Langris, and they're frozen. It's shown to be because the Wizard King just said, "Nope, I've frozen you all in time for this second." Jonah, do you want to tell us why this is shit?
I don't think it's shit. I just don't think it's quite... I don't really understand some of the choices here. Like, okay, we were all predicting that somehow this tournament was going to get interrupted. Like, usually when there's a tournament in manga, the villains come interrupt it. I've never seen the tournament interrupt itself.
I don't think you can call that it's interrupted.
I don't think it's a interruption, but go on.
It's in the sense that, like they start fighting, and look, if this was just a case of, like, this is motivation for the next match, okay, I could see that. But the fact that all of a sudden the Wizard King's like, yes, but in a real fight, you can't stop, so go and fight. And I'm like, but what's the point of the tournament then? Like, it's such a weird...
Go on, sorry.
Yeah. It's a weird execution in the sense that the Wizard King just like, yeah, I'll let you guys fight to the death, I guess. And I don't really understand the motivation there. In the sense that, like, here's the vice captain of one of our most prestigious squad. We're going to let this person further publicly disgrace his entire organization by just attempting to murder a bunch of people. And it's not a question of, like, no, it's going to be a fair fight. Langris is outright saying, I'm going to kill you, essentially. And the implication that, oh, he might, somehow be, something to do with the Eye of the Midnight Sun, like, I'm feeling the same thing. I'm really hoping it's just like a metaphorical thing, like I'm feeling the same rage that they're feeling. Because if it turns out that Langris also has, like, a secret eyeball that's controlling him, and once Astor destroys it in 2 chapters, he turns into, like, the loving younger brother of Finral.
Oh god.
Then I think that's a lot less. Then I think that's a lot less interesting than the story that they're setting up here. So I feel like it's gotten me a little worried that we're having that implication here, that, like, there's something similar to what we felt in the battles of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. I'm like, okay, fair enough. That's an odd implication, but I guess I'll hope it goes well. I think it's just that it's the ending of this chapter that has me a little bummed out, with, like, the Wizard King just being like, yeah, but in a real fight, it wouldn't stop. I'm like, yeah, but in a real fight, you wouldn't have Dr. McKeely face coming over to save Finral either. This, like, the point of this tournament was to, like, find people to work on a team together. Isn't this directly going against it when you're like, yeah, I'll let infighting, like, break apart the team that I'm trying to make?
Okay, here's the thing. If what you say is going to come to pass, I completely agree with you, this chapter is bullshit. But I don't think it will. In the first place, I don't think this fight is interrupting the tournament. I think there's enough setup here for the tournament to just continue with this being a sort of, like, interlude between these rounds. Because otherwise,
I don't think it's gonna stop. I just think that, like, it is interrupting it in the sense that, like, everyone's like, okay, hang out for a bit. This is happening.
But, like, when you say shonen manga, the tournament got interrupted, you think the tuning exams, where it's just like halfway through, oh look, and the plot is different now. The other thing is that Langris in this, yeah, sorry, I've got distracted. You had 3 points, and I've completely forgotten the last 2. Sorry.
The point was, I don't think the Wizard King's order to just let them keep fighting makes sense.
Okay.
And I like the whole, like, Eye of the Midnight Sun comparison with Langris has me worried.
Yeah.
I have points for the third one in there, because I do think that he might have something related to their blood, but not that he has connection with them. Though
I'm
if
going
it goes
with
to
something like that.
I break your eye and now you're good, then I too will join the rant. But
yes.
I'm not going to judge what could be when what is in front of me still works.
Because the build-up they've got with Langris here is quite a good in the hands of a better author, could be quite a good introduction to how the Midnight Sun get their power. The idea that they've taken Langris, who is loved by Mana, who is like the son of a noble family, insanely powerful, but has this burning hatred inside of him. If it's just something that's like, in these scenarios, it can awaken the power of the Midnight Sun, and the Midnight Sun themselves are a collection of people collected who have awakened this power. That would be an interesting introduction to how they are so powerful and yet still feel marginalized.
I'm sorry, but that sounds incredible. Like, the idea that, like, the way you gain your power is by having, like, a moment of extreme angst.
Super Saiyan Sharingan, it's been done before.
I know, and it was lame then. Like,
hey, this is Black Clover. I'm not complaining about.
I am, though. I just, like, I'm sorry. If the twist for the Eye of the Midnight Sun is that all of them have gained abilities through moments of extreme angst, not only is that extremely lame, but it's also a weird sliding scale in the sense that Veto gained his powers through, like, the death of his entire village, and then Langris gains it because he's kind of pissed that his younger brother is fighting him. Not surpassing him, just fighting him.
Thematically, I agree that's a bit bullshit. However, if you consider it from their viewpoints, it could be the idea of their world being destroyed around them. Because to Langris, like the fact that Finral could be better at it than anything. Well, yeah, and thematically, it is a small thing. But like, if you see it from the character's perspective, I can see it working.
I'm just going to say here that if those points come to pass, I agree with you, Jonah. But let's not judge what could be, and just judge what is.
I still say I'm not huge on what is, then. But I'll.
Do you think
I'll wait. I'll wait. I still don't understand what the Wizard King is doing here, but I mean, it could be all right.
I just think he's shady. But do you think it's better than Black Clover normally is, or on par?
I think the beginning of this chapter certainly is. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't understand how Asta got there, but I think it's kind of cool that they all show up to stop him. I don't understand how Asta got there. Like, it seems so far away. But I mean, the fact that he's there is
about how Magna got there, because the other two have speed.
Yeah, but we don't see Asta in his Black Asta. God, that's such a lame name. We don't see him.
Yeah,
we don't see him in his Black Asta state. So it's not like that's exactly how. I don't know. It's fine. Like, I enjoy it. Okay, I enjoy it. Okay. There are just some implications here that I don't like, and this entire tournament seems a very bizarre roundabout way when you consider, like, but we're not just looking for a winner here. We're looking for people who have to work together to take them down. So why are we encouraging infighting so hard? And I know that's probably not something that, like, is an element that's really being thought about, but just from a meta standpoint, it seems like such a weird move to make.
Oh yeah, that's entirely stupid. But it wasn't this chapter that made me realize that. I've been like thinking, why the fuck are we having a tournament?
Well, no, at least beforehand you could be like, okay, it's in a tournament setting, so we kind of have an excuse. Now in this case, it's just like, this isn't even in the tournament setting. We're just like having them fight because fuck it, I guess they're mad at each other.
I had a feeling just like, okay, you think you're hot shit, I'm gonna let you embarrass yourself in front of a peasant, so I can show that people who try and kill each other are not welcome in the army I'm trying to make. I don't
think that's what he's going for. I think he's just like, fuck it, let's let him fight. Anyway,
I like the Wizard King. I might be giving him too much credit.
But we can move on.
Also, I am waiting for him to be Eizan, so...
Alright, so next up, The Promised Neverland, chapter 57.
Okay, don't fuck with Emma, the chapter.
Well, she is giving the stick and the carrot.
Yeah.
No one has anything to say?
I have nothing to say about this chapter. This is just cool.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure what to say about this chapter.
Yeah. The thing is, I really have kind of no opinion on this chapter.
Well, done. Moving on to Dr. Stone.
Should we really, or does no one really have anything to say?
I like what Emma's done here. I think it's interesting that, this character is actually going to be wandering around with them. I like the dynamic that they're bringing up here. It's kind of the mental game that I was wishing for a while, and I'm glad that we are kind of getting back to that. That said, and look, at least in the cover page where we see Emma and Ray staring at the poacher's sign, at least we're aware that it hasn't been forgotten. But I'm really waiting for the other shoe to drop with that. It's in the sense that, like, if there are poachers who know about this hideout, then yeah, that is terrifying. Like, you probably shouldn't leave the kids there then.
Yeah, and even though some could call bullshit on self-destruct switch being a thing, but I do think it kind of makes sense, seeing as this place has a lot of material on William Minerva, and it's implied it may have been used by his people in the past, so it would be sensible to have some quick means to destroy all the info they got there as to not endanger everyone they're working for. Should the demons ever find it.
I just don't like the idea that we found the magic self-destruct button. The rest of the chapter's cool. It's just that bit, your entire plan hinged on, how highly convenient.
I do like that how they deduced that this guy actually could be useful for them.
Oh yeah, that was cool. It was just like, everything set up to it, and then it was just like, oh okay, I was expecting this to be better written.
Yeah, no, we still don't learn his name, so that's why last week I named this guy Billy Bob.
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah, Cheddar tried to give him some weird name like Mr. Thenardier, but he's Billy Bob. A nice guy with no ill intentions.
That's what he's calling him, Thenardier. It's a Les Mis reference that is rather stretched.
You think his whole Les Mis thing here wasn't stretched to begin with?
I'm just glad he's not singing.
So shall I?
No!
I'm gonna call him Bill. So I really hope that Bill and Emma and Ray have a really, really fun adventure off in the world. I look forward to that.
I'm gonna call him Bernie, so I can hope that at some point he's gonna get killed and that Emma and Ray can carry his body around for a weekend.
Yay!
Strenuous reference!
Shall we?
What do you think he'll call Ray, since Emma is Antenna Kid?
Hashtag Ray? Just like emo kid? I don't know.
Bad. Don't reference other people's stuff.
As we review manga. Okay.
Yeah, like that's only their thing.
Alright, so what's next?
We never learn. So, this chapter, the Legal Loli gets integrated into the harem.
I'm just going to write now because, I gotta see read still.
I was quite strongly against her the first week we talked about her. Second week, she grew on me a little, as we get more of a, sense of like where she's coming from, and he starts properly tutoring her, and we meet her dad. This chapter, she started to get on my nerves again, because basically, she's just like dicking him around and constantly like suggesting like, oh, maybe I do like you. Just kidding. And she is just kind of shit stirring with the other girls. But at the same time, this chapter did do something I quite liked, in that like there was a moment where Furuhashi found out from someone that like he said like that. I think he found out from the father that he found, oh, this is Yuiga's her boyfriend. But then and she goes over and she interrogates him. But then the girl, Ashumi's her name, or Asumi or something. She immediately clears that up and like, nah, pretending. So we don't have a big stretched out misunderstanding there, which I guess is nice.
No, we just got a mini misunderstanding. I know it's okay. I know it's the point of this series and of harem manga in general. I still say the We Never Learn drinking game is take a shot every single time there's a chapter that doesn't contain a wacky misunderstanding.
I do quite like that she just kind of goes up, she like comes over, jabs him, and just whispering to him with like a death stare. She's like, so you're her boyfriend then? I want details now.
I have to comment on one thing, if nothing else, since like I can do it otherwise. Wacky misunderstandings. You do know this is a harem comedy.
Yeah, I was going to ask, have you never read a harem? These are, yeah.
I have. That's my point. It's just like, wow, this is such a harem series.
I'm at least glad that they kind of cleared it up over the course of one chapter, rather than prolonging it. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this new girl. Like I guess I'm probably being a little harsh on. She's not a bad character, but she just gets on my nerves a bit.
Yeah, We Never Learn's normally good for it. Does harem, but it doesn't do the bad side of harem, which is where they'll do like a mini arc based on one misunderstanding, and just like, what the fuck is this about? Oh look, tits.
Or in this case, oh look, she's the maid.
Not gonna lie, I'm trying to comment with the fact that I forgot to read. But no, We Never Learn is great. Be quiet. Screw you, Jenna.
All right, that's all my thoughts.
Fucking harem nuts. I'm kidding.
I'm not gonna lie. I have realized recently that, well, not recently, but I made the realization a few years ago that I just like harem series. Just like there's something in them that work for me. It was when I read Change 1, 2, 3, just like, this is amazing, and the favorite part of this is the harem.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if Nisekoi coming out now, I'd probably be able to follow it fine. Like, I think my thing with harems is that it has to. If I'm gonna like follow it in the long term, there has to be something there. Like, it can't just be tits or anything. Like,
there has to be ass as well.
And it has to have likable character, decent comedy, actual development and stuff. Which I think, from what I recall, Nisekoi it did have. Yeah.
Right. Should we get stoned?
Let's get stoned. The moment Sorry. I'm reacting to stuff that they're putting in the Discord, that Wensleydale's typing in the Discord chat because we've moved here. I shouldn't be doing that over stream, but yeah.
It's popping up in the corner and just yelling at me every few seconds. It's just like, I can't respond to you, Wensleydale.
Okay, so you said you were done with We Never Learned.
Yeah.
Okay then. Dr. Stone.
As we start with a cover page of an ass.
Yeah, but it's kind of in the background and it's in kind of baggy pants, so I don't think you can blame him too much.
I want to know how, like, those are really baggy pants and they're in space. How the fuck did it contour around her pants? Like, how vacuum sealed is her pants? Are her pants there?
I think Kohaku's behind is a wonder of the world in and of itself.
Yeah.
Do you really think that's really a kind of egregious fan service there?
No, it's not.
It's not egregious. I just like noticing that her fan service thing is just her showing her ass. It is quite funny to see where they put it. Like that one where she did the pirouette around the spear, locking her leg around it so you couldn't see her naughty bits. It's like, what the fuck are you doing, girl?
But yeah, in this chapter we get they learn how to make glass instruments properly with the help of Rit Tolbjorn.
Well,
from Overwatch.
That is kind of true, but yeah.
I
also like the comedy of seeing what kind of stuff they made on their own and make a good point. Like, yeah, they have the process, like how to make glass, but molding it into proper shapes is kind of hard.
Yeah.
That was a really nice touch, because I was half expecting Senku to just pull out glass beakers this week. So it was really nice to see old muscle beardy dude who apparently Chrome just kidnapped.
Yeah. And we also see Best Girl Suika being polite. Just giving, oh, here's back the lacquer I borrowed.
That was quite nice.
Of them.
And yeah. The scene of him like looking and like flashing back Senku looking over the lab and flashing back to when he was a kid looking at like a high-tech lab that I think it's his, or maybe
it was the stuff that his father bought.
It was his father, and just getting all sort of misty-eyed. That was really sweet.
Yeah, that was another really great panel, guy, showing that connection.
Yeah, that was really nice. Did any of you, do you know the page where they essentially show the map of the Kingdom of Science?
Yeah.
Any of you get the impression that, oh, there's so much stuff that can break?
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, look, they've got a kingdom. They can now get invaded and it matter. Shit.
I mean, if Senku gets high enough in the science tree, he can just make weapons that one unit can fend off all the barbarians that wander. And I'm pretty sure Tsukasa isn't focused at all on the science tree. He just keeps on big armies that won't be matched to his units.
Yeah,
civilization.
And wondering why, like, researching knights is taking.
I am wondering if Ginrou is if Kinro's fuzzy eye disease is going to be followed up on, because I feel like him just telling Senku and Senku giving him glass is too simple, and they would have done it already if that were the case.
I'm expecting that to be the swerve in this fight. Like, with the build-up to them beating Magma, I'm expecting them to be like, okay, him eventually to admit his weakness and him to get really dorky-looking glasses, because that would be funny.
No, what I think would happen, like, same thing, but Senku doesn't have time to make glasses, so Suika lends him her helmet.
That could also work, but what I'm expecting it to be is to be like, okay, with this we can beat Magma, as we've made an in-story like advancement into how his power level has increased. And it'd be like, no, Magma is still kicking the shit out of you. And then I want to see Chrome fight Magma.
How do you think Chrome would win?
By not using a spear? I'm expecting him to essentially go in like Usopp. With like, here are all these things I can throw at you.
I also like that little panel of Ginrou trying to get Ginrou to go get them new spears. And his tongue is literally a snake in that panel. But
that
also the one
cool.
lightly below it where the two brothers just like lock fists, like, yeah.
It's just like, is this going to work? Yes, let's go get spears. And I really want to know what Senku's plan is to coat his spear. Because he's implying just like, we've got to make this horribly poisonous chemical. I want to know what that is, because you use fucking mercury to make the gold spear. And I want to know what's apparently so more dangerous than the mercury amalgam.
It might not even be that it's some dangerous substance, just the place to get it is real dangerous.
Yeah.
My version is talking about maximum danger level area.
Very possibly, because essentially, if he had a source of chloride and silver nitrate, well, and silver nitrate, he can make it immediately. It's like, if I could source those ions, those are not dangerous.
I actually have to head out right now, but have a good one, y'all. I have to head out real quick.
No problem.
All right.
See ya. So I just love Senku's expression in the end. Like, I'd say that there is a parallel universe where Senku is the villain of this series.
I think, yeah.
Taiju or Tsukasa is the hero trying to stop this scientific madman using the technology in the stone world to take it all over.
I'm not going to lie, I think that's why I like this series so much.
Anyway, this chapter, it was pretty good. I mean, not as good as last one, but that was a tough act to follow.
Yeah, no, it was really nice.
And I do also like the craftsman they get. I already forgot his name. Was it Kaseki or...
Beardy dwarf dude. I have no idea.
Yeah, Kaseki. It was Kaseki. Which is apparently Japanese for fossil.
They are all named after, like, rocks and gems. So that makes sense.
Yeah, but just, like, he sees the kind of materials they're using, because, of course, he'd never have seen something like glass. And his reaction as an old craftsman.
And because Senku knows of, like, the techniques, it's instantly just like, you can craft this to your whims. We just don't know exactly how to do it. Because I think we spent 5 minutes instead of, like, a couple of days trying to do it properly.
Yeah, and he does talk like, yeah, we could do this, but it would take months, which we do not have. I'm not sure how much something like mason work would affect him doing glass work, but I don't have experience, so I'm not going to argue on that point.
Like, he does technically need glassware for the chemistry he's about to do. Masonry wouldn't work, but it is a bit like they have taken. I can't remember how long they said it took them to make iron, but it is a. I'm not entirely sure how much time has passed in Dr. Stone at the moment. It's a bit weird.
Yeah, that is one point. Like, they usually don't really say how much time has passed since Senku arrived, or how much time passes between chapters.
Yeah, which sort of works, because it essentially gives them the freedom to... essentially gives them a freedom to have Tsukasa background nebulously, like how strong might he be, how long is this taking them, they can create something that will take them months to create in a chapter, things like that. But anytime they mention it, it's like, when they mention it, this chapter is like a time considered, just like, wait, what? What? I thought you'd been... Okay, this is weird.
Yeah. And I do kind of get that maybe he can, like, understand the process by seeing it, and also understand, seeing, like, how it goes wrong. He understands why it goes wrong. So he's got, like, steady hands, and he understands just how much pressure put on a material. So maybe that's how he gets how to do glassware.
Well, crafting glassblowing is reasonably similar to a mixture of woodwork and pottery. It's just that the time scale is near instantaneous, because you've got to work it before the glass cools. So this dude would have the skills to do this, assuming they have clay. I'm not sure if they've said the settlement's got clay yet.
Well, we've seen them use earthenware for all their stuff, so I assume...
Then they have it, yeah.
I mean, the whole reason they got the glass was because Senku said that earthenware would no longer be sufficient.
But I know Senku's developed it. I didn't know if the civilization town had its own earthware, if they were still in, like, the...
Well, the very first time we saw Kohaku, she was fetching water for her sister, so...
That's true, yeah. I guess they have earthenware. Cool. Right. I think we might have done this to death, to the point where Jonah has died during this.
Yeah, he had to jump off, but... Anyone else have anything else to say on this chapter?
Not really, no.
The art's lovely as always, but that's essentially it.
So, I guess that's it. So, thank you all for listening to Stammer Stream. I am your non-stammering host, Greil9. You can follow me on Twitter @NuclearAndroid for whatever the fuck I'm feeling like. You guys can do your own. I never memorized all your addresses.
I'm Kastor UK. I'm invisible online. Do I exist? Who knows?
Are you just in my imagination?
No, I'm in Hovin's imagination. You just get crushed in the party.
Oh, I'm
get out of my imagination.
Guilty Crown sucks. You don't like it. It's shit.
And you can
my
watch
imagination
that on Trial by the Guilty Crown.
Which I still need to edit the next episode of. Shout out to laziness.
We need to record because I've completely forgot to message you. Like when.
Yeah, that's right, and you can find Milo at Hovin with an H for anime waifus, Cabal hijinks, Cabal cast, which is definitely coming, guys, and a trial by Guilty Ground, which was already mentioned. You can find me on Twitter at Wensleydale Cheddar for updates on the stream, Penganta, Friendly Faces, and
possibly,
way, hey guys.
possibly a eulogy?
Hey?
Cheddar, you sound dead.
Well,
like we said,
I kind of am.
And Cheddar has raised himself from the dead to give a proper send-off.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, guys.
So be sure to visit our One Piece RP forum, One Dream Adventure Reborn. Write some lovely stories with us, even though nobody really seems to be writing right now anymore. Also, talk to us about manga and stuff. And does anyone else have anything else to add?
No, I think we're done here.
Okay then. So we will see you next week. Take care.